And
grab your wine. It's time for Rosé All Day and Julie's a Mess, where we talk about current events and living in an intersex life. And now, here's Julie.
hi, everybody. Welcome to Rosé All Day, Optimistic in Orlando. I am Julie. That is Rebecca. And we are coming to you every Sunday night at 7 p.m. to discuss what it is like for an intersex woman or women in general to date in the city of Orlando using online resources. And so we are on our 6th episode, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me that this is our 6th episode. It is actually a two-parter tonight. We are talking about balcony people versus basement people. We will get into that in just a second. But tonight we're going to share with you who we are drinking. We are still looking for a wine sponsor. I went to a great place in Orlando this last week called Formaggio's and did a wine tasting there. And they have the most amazing cheese boards. And my good friend Manny wants to introduce me to them so we can talk about possibly getting them to sponsor Rosé All Day with all of the assortments of wines that they have there. But I know that Rebecca is drinking an actual wine called Rosé All Day.
Here, let me show you the bottle, guys.
That's a pretty color.
It's really nice.
Rosé All Day. Rosé All Day. Don't mind that QR code or mind it. And I tonight am drinking Tom Mast, but I did pour a little bit of cranberry juice in it. So that's probably not great for the wine company, but there wasn't a lot of wine left. And this wine usually gets me pretty schnockered. So I added some cranberry juice.
It looks very refreshing.
It is. Unlike my love life, Rebecca. Unlike a love life. Which this week seems to be in chaos mode. I mean, we're gonna talk about it. We talk about it every week with gutter swipes and your picks for me. And look, let's be honest, in dating, not every week is gonna be stellar. Not every date is going to be stellar. Not every match is going to be a good match. So, I mean, everybody has their off weeks and their on weeks. And as everybody is looking to find somebody that they vibe with, I was sharing with Rebecca, I currently have a new platform that I've been dabbling in. And for the purpose of not knowing what you can share and not share, we're going to call it Lonely Cans. However, I've been getting a lot of interest from people that want to make content with me, which is weird if you think about it. But not a lot of interest this week in dating, which I also think we put out as people. You can call it manifestation, but we totally put out this energy. And my week coming up is 100% jam-packed with Pride events. I am hosting a screening on Tuesday night with Come Out with Pride Orlando. I'm going to the Florida Equality Gala on Friday night. I have little things in between during the week. I am riding in the Pride Parade on Saturday the 21st. Just a lot of stuff going on, and I don't even have time to breathe, necessarily think, necessarily do anything. So I think it's funny that I'm craving a date, and I had a really great one last week, and we'll talk about that too. But I'm not in the mind frame to accept them. However, I do feel like this will be the week that everybody's like, I'd like to go out this week with you. I'd like to take you out. And you're going to be like, I've got fucking plans. No, I'm available next week. Oh, I'm not available next week. And you're just like, for the love of Christmas, people. Rebecca, anything new going on in your life for everybody listening at home?
I sloughed off some temptation for sex shaming this week of myself. So we got rid of that. We love putting away those vibes. There is also someone in my life when you're talking about the back and forth, like, when are you free? When are you not? There's like this lingering potential trip to Charleston that I'm unwilling to take. Like, I get excited about it. And then I'm like, well, what is she really like? So anyway, so that's the
I feel ya. There's a guy that I talk to all the time on Snapchat, which we've never talked about on the show before, but you know, that's a thing. And he's in Charleston, and he's always like, when are you going to come visit me? And I'm like, why do the girls all of a sudden have to be the ones that travel like 9 states away to go visit me? Like, when is a guy going to be like, you're hot, I want to spend time with you, and I'm willing to come to you? Why is it always the guys are like, so when are you coming up to see me? And you're like, you live 6 hours away from me.
It's so true. But in this case, it is the lady, and I am just assuming that I have to do some kind of noble move of going out there, because it's also tacky if I was like, why don't you come visit me? Like, it's somebody kind of has to offer, right? Unless it's the girl in a traditional guy situation where you can be like, when are you going to come visit me? But like, that doesn't work in a sort of like equal non-traditional space.
Right. Do you want to see what Celine Dion would say about it?
Yes.
Nothing. She clearly has nothing to say about it. She's like, yeah.
I love it.
That's my new, like, when guys are like, come visit me, I'm like, no. So once again, thank you for everybody that's listening to us out in podcast land, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Blurry. You can also watch us live in studio. As I've gotten situated in Orlando, my studio background has grown a little bit. Rebecca's getting better about, we were just talking. She was like, it's so dark in here, but she goes, that's my vibe. And I was like,
it's vampire.
So it is a live podcast, so you can join us and talk to us in real time about the things we're talking about. This week is a 2-parter. We are starting this week talking about balcony people versus basement people. We're still going to have all the favorites that you love, like gutter swipes and Rebecca's picks for me. And we're going to go through why she's picking them for me again, just as a refresher. Because why? Juleigh, her picker's broken. And that said, I have been going on dates with people that are not, who have not been featured on this podcast and who have just randomly, organically been hitting me up outside of all of this. And that's interesting too. Although dating is, we're frustrated. Anyway, I'm frustrated and Rebecca's kind of frustrated for me. We're going to talk about that in a second. What we're going to do right now is we're going to tell you the difference between balcony versus basement people. I had my roommate, Manny, today. I filmed him explaining to us what this is. He uses this and his husband used this to talk to their son all the time. And the son hasn't gotten it. And that's another story for another day. But I said, Manny, well, let's just watch the clip real fast. He's going to explain to you the difference between balcony people and basement people. This week, we're going to talk about basement people and give you some examples. And then next week, Rebecca and I will both be out of studio, but we will have the follow-up, which is balcony people, which we're taping after this. So go ahead and listen to Manny's response for balcony people versus basement people. Hey everybody, we are here with good podcast friend Manny's Karamas West. You've seen him and Nate, his husband, on the show before. And Manny is going to discuss with us right now the difference between balcony and basement people. This is a two-part series for Rose All Day, Optimistic in Orlando, and tonight we are talking about basement people. But Manny, real fast, what is the difference between the two?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I tell this to my son all the time. A basement person for me is someone who is extremely negative, is often trying to attach themselves to positive people to bring them down to their level. That to me is a basement person.
And so when we talk about basement versus balcony, a balcony person would be?
So a balcony person is someone just as that. They are above it, they're at the balcony, they're looking down, not looking down on people, but they're above it all, and they are surrounding themselves with people who are positive and help them aspire to greater things.
And so it's not just a system of finding somebody you match with romantically. Balcony basement could totally be even in work or in your
Absolutely.
other relationships.
In everything.
And
Yes.
so a balcony person is somebody that aspires to be at the top of their game, to have goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so a basement person is trying to get to the balcony,
Right.
and will climb over,
People to get there, but then they can't maintain the balcony once they get there.
and so they end up going right back down to
That's
the
right.
basement.
So that's my take.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that
You're
explanation for our
welcome.
viewers, and we are returning to the show.
Bye.
So that was a great explanation from my friend Manny, and I think it's important that I don't think people really think about it when they're dating. I think people are kind of blindsided by the fact that somebody could be basement or could be balcony. It's funny because when I hear that metaphor, I always see myself in a stunning evening gown on like a red carpeted staircase with this gilded balcony like you'd see in Phantom of the Opera. And I'm always like walking up the staircase, about to step into the balcony. Like all my balcony friends are like, oh, here she is, come on. And then there's my past, which are a lot of basement people that are like, don't leave me, Julie, take me with you. And so I just always see myself not necessarily in the balcony, but I'm not anywhere near the basement either. What say you?
I like that. I like that image as a mental framework. First of all, your picker is not broken on Friends. Manny looks absolutely delightful. Hello, Manny. Thank you for your wisdom. Yeah. So
Manny's a hottie. He and I were on TikTok live the other night in a bar in Orlando. We went to District Dive, and I was flirting with all these guys at the bar, and Manny's like, this is fun. How do I go live on TikTok? And I was like, oh, you need 1,000 followers. And he was like, oh, I have 42. I was like, yeah, well. So they were asking questions of Manny about me, and he was answering them. And I was like, not paying attention, which, that's typical for me. That's typical for me. He is hot, though.
You know what I thought about I've been thinking about this all week ever since Julie had told me about this idea. And I was thinking about how it's also contextual in terms of, like, you can have a basement person, like there's the general idea that he's talking about where the person is like trying to climb, they're like a reacher, but in the worst way. And they're like trying to clamber up your dress to get to the top. Or just stand on you. Like some people don't seem like desperate, but I had an ex, I've had my share of basement people too, who sort of seemed like he had it put together, but then ultimately in an emotional way wanted to use me as a step stool somehow and eat off my energy and kind of just all sorts of things. Anyway, but I was thinking about how like you can have just different forms of basement people in your life. And we can get into that too in the matches and kind of talk about like, oh, what is this kind of potential basement person? But I also have this idea of a back patio person, which is the person that is neither helping you to self-actualize and rise up, but is also not like a gremlin trying to like pull you down and below and crawl up you. They're just kind of like let's waste our lives drinking in the back patio and just sort of go nowhere.
That's
Like-
kind of like the smoking section, right? Like there's
there's
the
just kind of like,
smoking section.
how many days has it been now that we've been going through like Bud Lights? And so I think it's really valuable. Another thing that I think is helpful to think about with this is when you're looking for balcony people, it's not that you're then going to be a basement person climbing to the next balcony person and you're like going up a ladder. It's just that person is going to help raise your vibration. The basement person is going to lower your vibration or tempt you to come down. And the back patio people are going to be like, you don't have to work on yourself. It's fine.
Yeah. The back patio people are totally there just to waste your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And the goal is to absolutely be in the balcony. But and that's not just in relationships. That's in your networking. That's in your friends that you surround you. I mean, you hear it all the time. If you surround yourself with individuals that are where you want to be, they'll bring you up there.
Mm-hmm.
And the base, and it's not to say we're talking about how we're going to start swiping, and we're going to go into the hive in just a second and talk about that. But we're not saying that basement people look a certain way. That's not what we're saying at all. We're just saying that sometimes, because we've talked about gutter swipes and we've talked about red flags before, you can kind of tell who's in the basement and who wants to stay in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because last week, I think there was that guy that I had the weakness for that looks a little bit like Magic Mike. And I was like, oh, but he's nice. And I think at best he could have been a back patio person. But you were like, I sniff a basement smell. And I think like there are people who aren't necessarily wanting to pull you down. They're not necessarily full on energy vampires and things like that, but they just are so not moving forward in their life. They're just so in this type of a space that I think
they're stagnant. Stagnant. Yeah. They're not necessarily and maybe they're happy there, maybe, but if you know that's not where you want to be,
mm-hmm.
then you're not. And look, so since people love us because we talk about the truth. Good Lord, it's hot in here. So sorry.
Oh, Julie, really? Do you
taking my top off? It is hot in here, and I'm like, this cashmere sweater is not doing it for me anyway.
Well, I'm also in cashmere, and I can't go any lower on this show.
Just take it off. We'll show it on Lonely Cans. So anyway, it's been really hard for me because especially when it comes to dating, and I've shared some of this with Rebecca before, I long for the kind of relationship where a guy cannot stay away from me. Meaning, when you meet a new friend at school, or do you remember when you were in elementary school or even like high school and you had your own wheels, you started to drive, or you had access to go out and do things. You would meet a friend and you would build that friendship by wanting to spend every day with them. You'd be like, oh, I'm going over to so-and-so's house. Oh, I'm going to go spend time with so-and-so. Oh, we're going to go to a movie. Oh, we both have to work today. And you would end up getting a job at the same place. And I'm not saying I want to work with my partner. I'm just saying I want that kind of energy. And when I don't get it in return after a really good date, I start to think there's something wrong with me. What did I do wrong on the date? Why aren't they communicative with me? Why are they ghosting me? Why? And I think we all go through that, but it's frustrating because the date was really good and we had a really great rapport and a great time together. However, now it's crickets. Or you may speak to them once and they may say, hey, let's get together next weekend, but it's still not that kind of commitment of, gosh, I have to talk to you again. Gosh, I have to see you again. Let's go get caught. I want that. because then I know that things are moving at a standardized pace that I enjoy, right? And that they want to get to know me and they want to take me out and they'd like to take me to dinner. They would like to spend time with me. So when I have a really good date and then I don't hear, and I'm also old school in the way that I'm like, is the girl supposed to reach out? And then what's too much? Like, do you reach out? Do you reach out after the date and say, thanks for a great time? I had a great time. Like, the rules of the game have changed so much, even in the last 5 years, that no wonder people don't know if they're coming or going.
Well, I think that's honestly, we could have a whole episode about that. But I think that what you're describing in my experience is usually a flag of intimacy issues. And now at this point, most men have them. But I think that there is a phenomenon going on where a lot of men that I have come across, and surely some women too, they seem fewer and farther in between, but are like able to sort of be like, well, I'll shut off. We'll do like they have in their head like, okay, there's like a 2-week kind of turnaround for the next date. And then I'll reach out in about a week and a half. And they've got all these machinations going on because they are compartmentalizing their emotions and keeping things at a different, at a whole different, all these different levels. And what you're talking about is just like someone that's spontaneously excited about you. And it's interesting because there's a guy that is a friend of mine from LA. He's adorable and he's like the nice guy. And he has this problem of like, he's doing what we're talking about. Just like, oh gosh, do I need to, I don't want to like blow up her phone and I don't want to whatever. But it's like, there are people out there who are very eager for connection and want to just talk all the time. And I think they are worth kind of looking for. But it's just a lot less frequent these days. I think a lot of people are doing a la carte intimacy.
Now we're going to talk about some basement things because this has been on my chest for a while, and I've been dealing with it. So, and I think we all have issues like this. But I lived in Savannah for a while, which is where Rebecca lives. And when I first moved to Savannah, I ended up meeting a guy that I thought was the whiz bang. I mean, if Savannah was Oz, I thought this guy was the wizard. And what I mean by that was, he hung the stars on the moon for me, but he certainly hid behind a little bit of a curtain. And as I started to find out more about him, I realized he 100% was in the basement. 100%. 100% in the basement, right? And that's not to say that that's where he wanted to end up. There were a lot of things in his life that steered him to the basement.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's hard for me is I fell in love with him, and I was certainly stepping down into the basement myself, and I was okay. I was okay being in the basement with him. I was 100% okay with that. And I thought that I could change him, and I thought that I could make him better. I thought that I could maybe even escort him up to the balcony. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn a really hard lesson that I couldn't, and that I can't, and that it's almost like in that same kind of picture that I paint of being on the staircase going up to the balcony and everybody extending their hand and saying, Julie, there she is. There's our girl. Welcome to the welcome back up. He's kind of standing mid staircase looking at me like, are you taking me? But also looking back at the basement like, I got to go back to the basement.
That's so poignant.
And it is hard. And even now, since I've been in Orlando, my roommates, my friends, Manny, everybody will be like, oh my God, if you fucking mention his name one more time, I'm going to hemorrhage. And I'm like, I loved him.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him 100%. And it's hard to get over that. And then it's hard to come out of the basement and trust that people really do want you in the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and do you have basement dirt on you? Is that why they're like, well, maybe she doesn't belong in the balcony because she hangs out with the basement people?
Oof.
Rough. It's rough.
I feel that so hard. And you and I have talked before of some similarities and experiences. But what's coming to mind as you're talking about it this time is just this idea that, like, when people are in the balcony, you don't necessarily find out about their demons and all these things that maybe they've fought or got past. And so there's a certain level of access that you don't always have to, like, an inner child in them that is very easy to get in the basement. It's almost like extremely exposed and kind of raw. And if the person is like really struggling and you're just in, let's say, an emotional basement and they have their life together, like, you really see someone. And for someone who's loving or empathetic, it is natural to connect with someone whose soul you love or who you're drawn to as a person while they're in their basement. And on some level, there is like this positive, really nice aspect to that of like, I will accept you in all of your weaknesses and all your darkness. However, if they live there and they don't just take you down one day after 6 months of knowing you and say, this is where I used to live in the basement, and now you see, and we go back upstairs again. But if they live there, you will. That's the thing. It's like sinking sand. You'll get pulled in. And I have done that in an emotional way in a relationship before, and I've certainly done it in this overall sense. And the other thing that came to mind was that there are those people, like Manny's explicitly describing, that like want to step on you and climb up the train of your dress to get to the top. But there are also people who are attached to the basement. Like, I had a basement person who I was in a relationship with for 3 years. It eventually escalated to the point in which I needed to leave for my own safety. And I thought that person talked all the time about how he was going to be on the balcony and how good things were going to come and whatever. But he wanted to live in the basement. Every choice he made was about the basement. All the things he was doing were keeping him in the basement. And like you said, like, the reason he was there was because there were all these basement people in his life and basement parents and basement experiences. But he had an attachment to some of those things in there that I think at some point, if we want to live our lives, you have to let go of. You have to be like, I don't want the blankie in the basement. I don't want the mini fridge. I'm leaving now. And he didn't want to leave his mini fridge stocked with liquor.
Right.
And I wanted to bring him up.
Right.
And he didn't want to come. And it's heartbreaking.
And it's heartbreaking. And it's sad because then you start to think, am I not good enough? I could have given him all of this. Is that not good enough? Like, you just, it literally starts to weigh on you as an individual, and you start thinking, why couldn't I have saved him?
Right.
Why didn't he want to come to the balcony? Why we could have conquered the world together.
That thing that Manny said, I think, or maybe it was you following up on it, is just the idea that, like, when a basement person travels up with someone else to the balcony, they don't stay there for long because it's unsustainable. Only you can get from the basement to the top. And even if you ride someone's train up there, the second they take a breath and talk to someone else, you just roll right back down again. And that's the thing to remember as the person who's trying to escort them is like, they're never going to make it even if you take them up with you. Like, they have to be the one to rise up those stairs and walk up those stairs. So, and
Like,
sometimes
you
meeting someone,
can be in the balcony and wait for them to ascend.
correct, and invite them to ascend.
But if they don't, you've got to be okay with, okay, I can't go back down the stairs. You know, it's tough love in a way. You have to be able to say.
Well, and a lot of times when people have had love come into their basement and then leave them because they're stuck there, they're like suddenly in a point of crisis where it actually hurts that they're in the basement now. And they're like, maybe I need to go rise up. But it does require that person abandoning them. So it's really tough.
Yep. I wasn't. And speaking of my basement person, about a week and a half ago, everybody in Savannah that I know that works at Club One was messaging me and saying, hey, your basement person's here. And I was like, I'm not with him anymore. Like, we don't date anymore. I don't live there anymore. Like, I am. And, you know, but I was interested, like, how bad's he look? And
Yeah.
is he jonesing for, you know, and somebody had said he's bothering everybody and we're about to cut him off. And I just remembered thinking, that's sad. And then, but then my heart broke a little bit because I thought he's probably looking for me and he doesn't know that I don't live there anymore. Mm-hmm. And then sure enough, at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a message from him, and he always messages me incognito, not from the same phone number. Like, if he was a spy, I like, hey, sexy, and his words were slurred, and he was like, where are you at? And I said, you know, I don't live there anymore. And I said, I heard that you were out and about tonight. And he goes, I wish. And I said, well, I heard differently. And then he blocked me. And so I was like, okay, well, he'll either find me again, because he always seems to have a way of finding me, whether it be on my social media platforms, or he'll reach out at some point, and it may be a year from now, it may be 3 years from now, it may not be ever. But he was definitely my basement person for the last couple of years, and in a way, I understand completely that I deserve better and I know my worth, but it doesn't mean that I don't search for him or look for him in some way.
Well, I had this like weird epiphany yesterday of this idea of like, we keep talking about like, oh, my worth, my value, and then you can like find it in money or status or whatever, but we're supposed to find it in ourselves and determine it for ourselves. And we have this, I'm like, since when is a human being a commodity? Like, what does it mean to have a worth? Of course you deserve somebody that loves you. Like, there's no, that means that there's levels of your deservingness. It's like, no, he's a human being and you miss him when he's gone. And he misses you when you're gone. And you can't weigh that and say, I'm above another human being that I've loved and known who's struggling. And I have a person, and hopefully this will be of some comfort to the audience, that there's someone out there who still just like hangs on. No, I have a person who was in a different person than the one I mentioned, who was in an emotional basement during our relationship. And I have a high tolerance for basement environments. And I was willing to stay through it with him. And he realized that it was hurting me. And that's why he broke up with me. And he didn't want to be seen in his basement. And I respect that now. But my point is, I have not given up on this person. And I think there's a lot of shame out there, like, oh, you should just leave their motherfucking ass behind. And it's like, but no matter what your basement person's done, or this person I'm talking about, if they get to the balcony, they have a chance with me. Yeah. But that could be 5-10 years from now, and it might never happen. And I have to continue to move forward in my life and learn to live without them. And I am very happily involved with someone, people, all the things. But I still, there's a place in my heart that person holds that no one else will, even if I marry another person.
Well, and it's funny because people don't get that. I mean, a lot of people in my life know absolutely, and there's nobody in our chat room right now, but if any of them were, they would know 100% who I'm talking about. Even people that follow me on TikTok are always like, how's so-and-so doing? And, for the purpose of we give everybody nicknames on here, I will give him a nickname. I call him on Optimistic in Orlando, even though he's not here. I refer to him as the Rook. The Rook. That is a piece on a chess board game. His nickname is another piece on a chess board game. So for the purpose of this show, we'll call him the Rook. If the Rook ever ascended to the balcony and things were 100% different, absolutely he'd have a chance with me. But knowing what I know, I'm not, but at the same moment, as I'm dating in Orlando, I'm not hoping he comes to the balcony. I mean, if he comes to the balcony, he comes to the balcony. And I want that for him because I want him to have a better life. I don't want to end up reading that he died or that he's on the side of the road or that he got 8 different women pregnant and can't afford child support and he's already well on the way. I don't wish any of that for him. And if he would just make it to the balcony, maybe we'd have a chance. But I'm not dragging him to the balcony, and I'm not. But I'm also not hoping that the Rook makes it to the balcony. I hope he makes it to the balcony in his own time, and I hope that he has a better life. I miss him. And there are moments when we were together where I absolutely, in my heart, know that he loved me.
I'm sure.
Even though he didn't always put me first, even though, but there are things he did, which in a way I can't tell people about because then that would quantify some of the stuff that he was doing in the basement, which I don't want to share. That's not my story to tell.
Exactly.
But there were moments where he would keep me out of danger and not, and not put me right in the harm's. Like there were things he did that I know the Rook loved me at certain parts during our basement relationship. I hope that he makes it to the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
But like
I think
you just said, I'm not.
I think that's honestly.
I'm going to continue to date and meet other people that can elevate you.
Mm-hmm. I think what's great about your story. Oh, you did too. I think what's great about what you were saying about like when he reached out, that's a really valuable moment because it sounds like the way you thought about it and the way you responded was very like you were resolute that you're not going to the basement. And this person sort of feels like a temptation. My emotional basement person has reached out a few times with offers that I didn't trust. Like, hey, I'm on the balcony, come hang out with me. And I just didn't feel like that was enough time had passed for that to be true. And I turned him down. And I think my friends have actually been really impressed by that. And I don't say that for that reason, but it did make me realize, like, is that what self-love is? That and to the point in which I don't want to be in the basement with you, my love. Like, I want us to be in the balcony next time. We deserve more than that. So I'm just not going to let that happen for me or for us. And if I have to live without you forever, I can still love you.
Yeah. And isn't that what love is, though? It's loving people through all the other stuff, and it is 7:40 and we've been talking about basement people for the first half of the show. Now I think we're going to get into we're going to talk about, to be honest, everybody that tunes in to hear about the previous week, we have lost pretty much everybody that we thought was a gutter last week fell off the radar, and people that we picked and reached out to, they also fell off the radar in the hive. So I think we're going in blindly. Now, I did something I am not supposed to do, which Rebecca usually picks for me during the week. But I was so like frustrated that there was nobody in the mix that before the show tonight, I went on and swiped right on a couple of people, whether I thought they were gutter or not, just because I need to fucking have a conversation with somebody that's not a roommate. So we're gonna look at that too, and we'll talk about who I picked, and she can say no, Julie, or good God, Julie, what were you doing? So,
wait, oh my gosh, did you add 50 people?
No, I didn't add 50 people. I added.
It has updated the app.
3, 4, 5. I started conversations with 5 people. 6.
Oh, okay. They're in the conversations. Okay. Yeah. Got it. All right. So how about you walk me through these people you went up the beaten path with? Okay. So should we start with the first one?
We're going to start all the way at the bottom right before the Zodiac message. If you can click on him, he is sitting in a seafood restaurant. He is holding up 2 crabs by their legs.
Wait, does he have the baseball cap on?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I think he's loaded.
He is an attorney. And he went to the University of Notre Dame. And he's really cute. I think he's really cute. We're going to call him Mr. Crab. So Mr. Crab, well, I thought at first Mr. Crab might be a gutter swipe because I was attracted to him. And his pictures, he is definitely with like, in one of the pictures, he's surrounded by like Latina women. And in another picture, he's surrounded by women in a club. And then in the third picture, it's just him, I think, at work with his business tie on or whatever. And then he says, I'm hoping you are a reformed, naughty girl or just disguised. So this is where I was like, I think he's a gutter swipe, Rebecca.
Well, and then the last piece of information at the very bottom of the profile is very specific.
Swipe right if you've ever secretly wanted to an alpha cuck. Meaning he likes to be cuckold.
Yeah, anyone that doesn't know what that means, it means a man who likes to have a woman sleep with another man.
In front of him.
It's often. If it's non-consensual in the official traditional dictionary sense of the word, it's like you have an affair on your husband and he finds out and he realizes he was cuckolded. But anyway, in sex
that's what it means. So
I mean, that doesn't disqualify him, but he led with that.
Yeah, that was very ballsy of him. And it does make me think, you're on a dating app. I wonder how many people are going to be like, yes, swipe right. I swapped right, but because.
So here's what I'm seeing. I mean, so he says, I'm prioritizing my mental health by therapy, marijuana, and mindfulness. I mean, I like that mix. He is literally has women hanging off of him in one photo, and then he's sort of hanging on women in another. It doesn't seem like he's the one that's getting cuckolded, but okay. I think you should keep talking to him because I'd be interested to see what he reveals. He doesn't look to me like a disgusting human being, but I certainly wouldn't make him your husband. If I
correct. I did start the conversation off by saying an alpha cuckold, huh? I'm interested. We'll see what that yields. Okay.
Like it. Next.
The next one I swiped right on next. The next one. I don't know what nickname. Why is it not loading for me? There we go. My internet tonight is. Okay, there we go. On the back of a boat with like a mimosa in his hand, maybe? It's definitely like a fruity drink with like a pineapple.
It's loading for me, but he has sunglasses on that photo, right?
He does have sunglasses. He's cute. Says he's an owner at real estate development. He lives an active and fit lifestyle. He loves to travel, warm, sunny places, but also enjoys snowboarding. He's 5'11". He's looking for a relationship. He wants kids someday. Also, maybe a gutter. I don't know about this one, but it says he said a non-negotiable. Now, this is where it would be a gutter swipe for me. Not I believe in pronouns, because I feel like if you're in my inner camp and inner circle and you already love me and you're a friend of mine, you should know how to identify me. Right? But he said a non-negotiable if you ask me what my pronoun is. So we already know he's a gutter swipe. He's not open.
He's anti.
He's anti everything. After work, you can find him hitting the gym or a hike. And then his last picture is him in a golf cart.
You know, he strikes me as somebody who he's among that class of men that about 15 years ago didn't get a lot of women, then figured out how to like hack and market themselves. And so he's got like all the classic like snowboarding. He's in a golf cart. He's got a great, almost professional photography type photo of him on this boat. And yeah, he's like managed to pitch himself well. But the look in his eyes still speaks to me as like one of those people that didn't used to get girls and now just treats them terribly.
Probably horribly.
Still doesn't.
So I did ask him a question because we do talk to the gutter swipes. I said, what's your go-to comfort food? And I responded with mac and cheese. He has not responded yet. Okay. The next one I actually kind of liked, and I don't think he's a gutter swipe.
Oh, I think I kept him for you in the feed on purpose. I did see this guy. All right, let's go through them.
We're going to wait for it to load. Has it loaded on your side yet?
Yeah, I can start us off. So in the first photo, he is literally Julie on a balcony. He has a little balcony background, and he's real cute. He's a ginger. He's got his hands in his pockets. He has what looks like a nice suit outfit, but he definitely thought a lot about it, and it's like, doesn't look effortless, but it's nice. He's got like a gray linen jacket and sort of like gray plaid pants. Anyway, so here's his bullet points. Yes, I am 6'6". I'm told I look like Chris Pratt, but taller. I love the beach, the gym, Lady Gaga, Ryan Reynolds, pale ales, nights out with the homies, craft coffee, and my mom. Okay, there's potential flags in there, but we won't call them flags. Let's go to a brewery and grab tacos. I'm a local, so I know all the best spots. Here for a good and in all caps, long time.
Because I hate when guys use the same adage over and over again. They copy from other profiles and they're like, here for a short, not a long time. Like, you know, they always use the same number, like, oof, the original. So I like that he said, I'm here for a short and a long time.
A good and a long time. So no short time. And he is an active Libra. He's in college. Wait, let's check okay, he's 25. He's on the cougar bait ones that I like for you. And then we've got never smokes. He's spiritual and liberal, which of course makes my little heart flutter. He does want kids someday, but I find that's never really a hard thing for most men. He likes gyms, bars, video games, coffee, and beaches. Sounds pretty much like 25. And then there's a gym selfie that's not like the most flattering thing ever, but he has great arms.
Great arms. Yeah.
Most of his selfie is the actual weights.
Yeah.
Then after work, you can find me not at work. He's kind of witty. And then he's got like probably a giveaway photo, which is where he's got his hand in his pocket and he's looking at a mirror. It's a bathroom selfie, and he just looks like he looks a little bit less attractive like on his other photos, but he looks cute still. And then he's got like a lumberjacky vibe on the next bathroom selfie. I'm still not over Robin Williams' sad face, which is kind of adorable. We have another very similar gym selfie with a slightly better photographic angle. The quickest way to my heart is a knife, which I don't know why this guy is adorable to me. All of these answers could read douchey if you didn't see this like very earnest ginger face that we're seeing. So anyway, I like this guy. I'm really glad that you swiped on him. What did you lead with?
So I think he's adorable, and he's a little bit younger, but I just
don't care.
He looks like he'd be a lot of fun for me.
I
a lot of fun. So I led with, hi, his name. What's your favorite Orlando dive spot?
Great.
Because I just want to see what he says. I'd like him to say, hey, this is a really great spot. We should go try it out. Kind of leaving the ball in his court. He can then say, hey, let's go. You want to go try a drink or try? Not that he will. I mean, sometimes they fall out. But out of the three I'd picked so far, he definitely was like, oh, and he's a Libra. And I don't know if you and I have talked about this before. Rook was a Libra. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going after Libras. However, I've been with a lot of Libras in my life, and Libras and Gemini women have off the chain sex vibes together. So whenever I'm with a Libra, the sex is usually off the hook. What I call the sex with a Libra when you're a Gemini woman is the stuff you'd write home to your parents about during summer camp. And let me tell you what I mean by that for everybody listening out in La La Land, out in podcast land. Some of us went to camp, and your parents would beg you to write home, write letters to us. And there was never anything really exciting that happened at camp that would warrant you picking up a paper and pen and drafting a letter to your mom and dad. However, which my friend Meg says I use that word a lot. However,
I love that about you.
There would be one thing that would happen that you couldn't wait to tell your mom and dad about by the time you got home from camp, so you would draft a letter. And I'm just telling you that sex with Libra men, in my opinion, when you're a Gemini woman, that's shit you'll write home about. Maybe not at summer camp, maybe not when you're 12 or 13, but certainly later on in life, you'll be like, dear mom, I slept with a Libra last night and pictures fell off the wall, the bed broke, and I may not be pregnant. Love, Juleigh. Likes Juleigh.
I love that.
So, I mean, did I pick him kind of because he's a Libra? Kind of. I also know about Libra men and the zodiac. Libra men are very much, they're their own private thinkers. They like to be on an island rather than be around tons of people. They love loyalty. But if you're going to make it with a Libra, you have to prove to them that you are their ride or die. And only then they may let you stick around for a while. So Libras are tough. But I liked him. He's young. I'm a cougar. I swiped on him.
We love it.
Let's see what he says. Okay. Going to the next one. The next one, so we're just going to call the last one Libra. We'll call him Libra.
Okay.
This one I like too because there's something about him in his first picture that just says to me, I got you, girl. I got you.
Okay, it's loading for me, so I can't wait to take a look.
So he's thinner. He's taller. He is in my age demographic, so he's in his early 40s. He's bald, which I tend to like. And he's got a little bit of scruff on his face, definitely a mustache. He's wearing an all black suit. So he's in all black. He's got a black shirt. And his tie is black and red striped, which makes me think that he does something, maybe at a bar, or I don't know, but just the way he's dressed. But the look on his face is this look of, there's a little bit of playfulness in his eyes, and it looks like he's saying, I gotcha. I gotcha. Like, it's just that vibe. Whatever you have going on, he's got you. I'm also really loving the way my blush looks on
really nice.
Camera today. So if y'all are wondering, if you're wondering how pretty and sexy Rebecca and I are, come look at us tonight on this episode, because I'm looking great for being in my casual, just black tank top. And Rebecca's always looking smashing, but I'm really loving my blush line. Anyway.
It's great. And your lips too. I keep comparing mine and despairing. Yeah.
So he says
he
he works
just loaded for me. He does have. We'll call him Got You, because he does have this. He's got this vibe that's like, I gotcha.
I gotcha. No matter what's going on, I gotcha.
There's a golden retriever puppy on the photo.
So he says he works a lot, and his dog's name needs a new mommy. He's a good boy and deserves the best.
Oh.
He's looking for a relationship. He's into cycling, snowboarding, martial arts, stand-up, and video games. He speaks English and Portuguese.
Sexy.
The dog is adorable. He asked, who is your best friend and why is it your dog? I don't have dogs, so I can't answer that. He guarantees that he will treat you right and respect the relationship.
I believe that.
I think is huge. And he's making kind of a goofy face in that picture. His last picture, or one of his last pictures, it looks like he is standing on the side of the road in red tennis shoes, and he's got like boxes of pastries, like he's delivering pastries
to you, the love of his life.
After work, you can find me hanging out with my dog, cooking, cleaning, or planning a quick trip. That dog is adorable. He has a picture of his dog with a collar and a tie on.
It is a golden retriever puppy. Or is it golden? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has this like little it's just the most adorable picture I've ever seen.
And then in the last picture, he's being a little crazy and like animated in front of a Christmas tree. And so it's not tons to his profile. There's not tons to his profile, but he just looks like he's gotcha, right? In a good way. Mm-hmm. So the question to him was, among your friends, what are you the most known for? And my answer was being witty and not having a filter.
I love that.
And I should write, and being an awesome dog mom.
You're going to have to prove yourself on that, because he's like me. He's in love with his dog.
I love a guy that likes his dog, though. And I love animals. I mean, I've always said it's kind of ironic that Disney's been in my past. I often laugh that sorry, that's Ethan, a loudmouth.
He doesn't get a code name?
Huh?
He doesn't get a code name. Your roommate.
I don't like him that much. So I love dogs. We have a dog here named Allie. It's Manny and Nate's dog, and we call her everything from alligator to Allie Bobally to Wugglebutt. I mean, and you know, it is true that dogs will stay near the people that feed them. But she's so lovable. Who doesn't love a good dog? And if you know me, you know that for years I've always wanted a Frenchie. So I've always said the guy for me is the guy that will allow me to get a $2,500 puppy, or maybe two. So
I think that would save up for that for you.
Yeah. So the last one I swiped right on was Carlos. I like Carlos too. So
let's give him we gotta backpedal on the lack of nicknames. We're gonna call him.
We'll call him Carlito.
Great, because it's too late for him anyway.
It's too late for him. So you want to look at him because I can't bring him up, and then he'll be the last one tonight, and then we will.
This guy, a perfect ending, is, I think, a basement person. And here's why. First photo is a car selfie, which, no hate, no love. Sunglasses, kind of his face is like crooked to one side, baseball cap. He says, about me, me encanta la playa. I love the beach. So he's Cancer, the sign, socially drinks, never smokes, looking for a relationship, Catholic, apolitical. His interests are dancing, making videos, soccer, basketball, Spanish. However, the second photo is yet another car selfie. This time he's trying to look a little bit more like, I get way too excited about La Playa. Maybe he's he just lives on the beach. A third car selfie, this time in a red shirt. He's got a different facial expression. So if we're doing a character study, we definitely are seeing some different sides. Then we have a gym selfie. This is in the Crunch bathroom. I know this because he's wearing a very sweaty Crunch t-shirt. He's got yet another facial expression. And then now he's in a gym that's not the Crunch I go to. Oh, yeah, because you're in a different city. And he's doing the peace sign, and he has this glittery filter, and he's doing this really awful move with the camera that's making me have motion sickness. He's got an Instagram profile, some more very odd kind of one thing turns into four things, and he's just walking along. The reason I think he's a basement person is because he's literally looking up in every picture for something that's more than just the beach. And
we had a conversation started. He didn't respond. I said, wow, you're gorgeous. Way to bait him, Julie. And he said, hi, thanks. How are you? And I said, I'm great. It's been a really chill, beautiful day. He didn't respond. So more than likely that's falling off. He will be falling off. But,
he just doesn't seem like
we did
much
5.
going for him. No, he just doesn't seem like he's got much going for him at all. But he is cute. He's got a lot of different faces.
He looks like an Instagrammer. So we are going to go ahead and end this. It has been great. We've been talking about for the last hour balcony versus basement people. We had a wonderful discussion with Manny, a friend of mine, who gave us a rousing description of versus basement are, and we talked about it in detail. We talked about people from my past and people that would definitely be in the basement category. However, we would love for them both to rise to the balcony. It's just not in our hands. If they do, please join us next week. We are now starting to get some people to join and watch, but we are ending this episode tonight where we've been talking about basement people, and Rebecca and I will both be out of the studio next week. Therefore, because it's a busy week with me, I have Pride going on all this week. I have events going on all this week. Rebecca is headed back to New York to visit some friends. So next week's episode will be taped. We're about to tape it now after this one. However, it will be balcony people. So we will be talking about balcony people. And we will be talking about a date that I had this last week, which was 100% balcony. And I'm excited about seeing where that will go. But thank you for joining us this week. You can go back and watch this on the YouTube channel, Just Julie. You can also find us wherever podcasts are found and join us next week at 7 p.m., even though it's pre-recorded, for Balcony versus Basement Balcony Edition. And we're going to go ahead and in the evening and say sayonara. And I hope everybody has a beautiful week. And if you're here in Orlando, happy Pride Week, everybody. It's a great celebration of what it means to be accepted, loved, and visible, no matter where you are or who you are. Bye-bye.
For more content, follow justjuleigh.com. That's just Juleigh, JULEIGH.com. Thank you to our guests, and thank you for joining us this evening. Join us next week as Juleigh tries a different rosé.